I am Rachel Jones. I am in my extremely messy office. I'm a doctor in sexual health and HIV. I'm listening to Savages and Silence Yourself because they're my current obsession. They remind me of Susie Sue and she's my heroine. I'm naturally reading Morris's autobiography. I'm watching Sunday night's Homeland. I'm going to a horrible trust board meeting later today, hence the very dweeby professional shirt. So when I was a teenager, I had no ambition whatsoever to be a doctor, and when it came to doing my A-levels, I went completely off the rails and I got some of the most horrific grades you could ever imagine, including an N in A-level maths, which is an N for nearly. So much to my parents' delight, I clearly had no clue what I wanted to do next or how I was ever going to do it. But I was having such a wonderful time. I was 18 and travelling out into the country to rave after rave, and I thought that's what was really important. Finally, I got my head sorted and decided that I wanted to be a scientist. So I went to university and did a science degree, and then realised that I couldn't be in a room studying with rats all day long and killing a rat every day to experiment on their spinal cord, and thought that actually I might rather speak to people, and so went and did medicine, and it was the best decision I've ever made. It's really important that women know that they've got a huge range of options available to them now. I think people often think that it's just the pill or condoms and that's that. And it's really important for a woman to work out what sort of contraception would best suit her. So does she want something where she might take a pill every day, or does she want something that is longer acting, so maybe an implant-on, a little implant that sits in the arm for 3 years, or a coil, or a patch, or an injection. There are multiple different options. But as with everything, it's about finding what's right for you and working out what fits best into your life. So these are some of the things that we use in our clinic, just to show you, because people get really stressed. There are lots of stories for boys about how they'll have to have an umbrella down their penis to have a swab. That's not true at all. In most cases, we can test on a urine sample in boys. If a boy has symptoms, we might take a swab, but it's a tiny, tiny little swab, and it's nothing like an umbrella. So those stories are all completely untrue and don't help encourage boys to come to our service. In girls, we tend to do very simple swabs. So this would just be the kind of swab that goes into the vagina. This is the packet it's in. The swab is tiny, smaller than a cotton bud, basically. These are some of the contraception options. So whenever you talk about coils, people get really upset and think, oh, I don't want a massive piece of metal inside me. This is the size of the coil. It's absolutely tiny. So way, way smaller than my hand. And the coils are amazing. Some coils can stay in for up to 10 years. So imagine that, you don't have to worry about getting pregnant for 10 years. Really easy to take them out if you do decide you want to be pregnant. Then we also have other things like the vaginal ring. Lots of girls like this now. This just sits up inside the vagina. Really helpful for contraception. The other thing that's popular is the implant-on. This is just to demonstrate it. Basically, this is an implant-on inside a little bit of plastic to show you. It's this down here, you'll see it's just a tiny little bit of plastic that's got a bit of hormone on it. It's this long and it's absolutely tiny, so it's about 3 millimeters wide, and that just sits in the arm. 3 years. Amazing, you don't have to worry about it. These are the other things we keep in our box of tricks. A plastic penis. This is very useful for doing condom demonstrations. You think that guys understand entirely how to put on a condom, and indeed girls. There's a bit on the Durex packet saying, to help put this on, maybe ask your partner. But your partner may have no idea how to do it. So we spend a lot of our time doing condom demonstrations for young people, and it's really valuable. These are our beer goggles. Very useful in explaining why you might have sex with someone who in the morning you think, why on earth did I do that? So that's why we're all about the contraception and the protection. The one thing that I want to say is that don't just rely on contraception. Most contraceptives are not going to prevent you from acquiring sexually transmitted infections, and that's why condoms are so important, and everyone should have condoms on them. Having a condom in your wallet doesn't make you a slut, it doesn't make you loose, it doesn't make you any of those things. It makes you entirely sensible. You are the only person that can prevent yourself from getting a sexually transmitted infection, and just by virtue of having a condom on you, you're sorted. Come and see us, condoms are free, to just go through how best to put one on. So we'll go back to our trusty model, and the most important thing to do is when you take your condom out, it's really important to make sure that it's still in date. If it's out of date, it's quite likely to rip. And this is not the kind of thing you want to be doing at the moment that you're putting a condom on. So it's really important for you to know that the condoms you've got are still in date. You don't know if you kind of rip the pack open with your teeth, you might damage the condom. Fingernails, jewellery, all those kind of things can affect the condom. Again, make sure you don't have lots of cream and things on your hands, because that can also affect the strength of the condom. Once it's out, it's important to make sure that the roll is on the outside, otherwise the condom's pretty much inside out. Take the end of the condom and just squeeze. Pop it on the end of the penis and then really gently start rolling down the condom. Now you might notice that it starts to spring back. If it does, just gently but firmly start rolling it down further. If it pings off completely and it's all unrolled, don't try and put it back on, because the condom's really unlikely to work once that's actually happened. So you need to use a new condom. And then once it's on and unrolled all the way down to the base, you're ready to go. Once you've had sex, it's unlikely that the penis will still look like this, so it's slightly artificial to teach you how to take the condom off. But basically you just need to be really careful, because it's highly likely this is going to be full of ejaculate, and that means it's going to be teeming with sperm. So bear in mind that there's still a pregnancy risk. So you need to take it off really, really carefully. So what's best to do is to just make sure you've got a firm grip at the end of the condom. It's really difficult to take it off of here, so I won't try and do it, but when you take it off, just make sure you take it off really gently, tie a knot in the end of it. It's often better not to flush it down the toilet, just wrap it in some tissue and put it into the rubbish. I see so many young women who have had very little sexual health education, and within that I mean they know a bit about chlamydia, they know a little bit about contraception, but no one ever talks about HIV anymore. There was a big campaign in the 80s, but that will never happen again. And unless people start speaking out about HIV, I fear that people's knowledge will just completely disappear. And it only takes one episode of unprotected sex for someone to acquire a sexually transmitted infection or to become pregnant. And that's why we're here, and our clinic is completely open access. You can go to any clinic in the UK, you don't have to go to the local sexual health clinic. You can come and see me under any name you like. I see lots of Brad Pitts, they're all very disappointing, but it would be wonderful if everyone just got into the habit of having regular sexual health screens. We're here to help, we're here to provide contraception. Everything we do is free, confidential, and we'll tailor your care to whatever you want. You should never be afraid of coming to see us. We're a really friendly team, and we're here to help you in any way that we can.